Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to the Muslim CEO. Today we're going to be talking about the art of change. The art of change, big topic, big word, and extremely important for our success and our growth. We've met with a very special Muslim professional who also made it to a very high ranking in his establishment. We learned from him his understanding of the art of change. How did he use it? How did it help him grow? How did it make a difference at his workplace? And how did it make a difference with his staff? Very excited to share it with you. Let's go ahead and learn. We're here at the Brampton Civic Hospital to meet a successful member of our community and a successful leader in the medical field, Dr. Naveed Mohammad, the Vice President of Medical Affairs. Excited to meet him and learn from him. Let's go.
Assalamu alaikum.
How you doing?
Welcome to our hospital.
Thank you, it's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you for doing this.
So, Brampton Civic Hospital. Please tell us about the hospital and your role in it.
So Brampton Civic Hospital is just one of the hospitals in our corporation. We actually manage 3 hospitals: Brampton Civic, Etobicoke General, and Peel Memorial. I'm also an emergency physician at the hospital, so along with my administrative role, I also provide patient care on certain days. And that is important because if you're going to be a leader of physicians, you must work amongst them.
Absolutely.
Because if you want to invoke any change, you must be part of that change. So and so we'll just walk this way. I did want to point out something for you and stop in this area, is that we have this sign here and it says Muslim Friends of Osler Courtyard.
MashaAllah.
This whole courtyard that's out here, and you'll be able to see it as we walk by, is named after the Muslims of this community. That's why it's called the Muslim Friends of Osler Courtyard.
A great example of how your Muslim values could take you a long way. MashaAllah, Dr. Naveed, on top of such a great establishment. What drove him this far? What helped him excel, succeed, even compete, because it is a competitive life, his values.
Change is very difficult, but change is necessary. And one of the qualities that we look for when we're bringing on leaders at William Osler or any corporation is the skill of change management. Change is going to happen whether you do it purposely or if you don't do it purposely. You're going to have to evolve and change. The skillful people are the ones that manage that change so that it's palatable for the teams that we manage. In healthcare, change is very difficult. I graduated in 1990 as a physician. There are physicians in our organization that graduated in 2010 or 2012. So for me, if I still practice medicine or keep the same processes that were existed in 1992, then I will fail as a physician. And as a leader, we will fail as an organization. I think what you have to understand is that every human being has a set of principles that they live by. With Muslims, we hope that those are principles that are taught by Islam. But if you look deeply into the teachings of the Prophet, his principles can be applied to running a country or to doing an interview or to running your household. So the first thing you have to do is that adapting does not mean you give up your principles. If somebody is telling me that starting today, we will not be treating anybody under the age of 10 or over the age of 70 in this emergency department, then that's not a change that you're going to adapt to. So you say, well, you know what? Let's find a way that we can create a section for the pediatric patients, and we can create a group of professionals who can treat our geriatric patients, so that we can still see all the patients, because what you're saying is discriminatory. Any journey that you go on, whether it's a journey of change, or if it's a journey or a trip that you're taking with your kids or with your family on vacation, you know that whatever you have planned is not going to happen perfectly to plan. So when you're trying to make a change, there will be hiccups. So you might start from here and get to here, and then you may realize that this is not really working out that well, so then you may have to step back a little bit and then start over again. And that's what you have to do in change management. So, you know, we may think that all physicians have to do everything on the computer electronically, and that's your goal, but 6 months in, you might realize that, you know what, there's a group of things that they can do electronically, but when they have to write down the examination of the patient, it might be better on paper, or it might be better dictated, where the computer can pick up the voice dictation and then translate it into an electronic version. So in change, you will always have struggles where you have to step back, and then you have to reorient yourself to make it comfortable for the people that are working with you, so that everybody can progress in that change. And I think adjusting and adapting at each step and not losing confidence is the key. And understanding that if you set a schedule, the schedule is just there as a guideline. If you say that you want to make that change in 3 years, and you make it in 3 years, that's great. But understand, it might take 4, it might take 5, it might take 6. Don't let that stop your path. Sometimes the biggest detractor of faith is science. Because as a scientist, and physicians are scientists, sometimes scientists will fall into the trap of believing that God doesn't exist, this is not what's happening, I can explain this all scientifically, this is why things are happening. But you have to understand that when a patient appears and tells you something, just because they come and tell you they have chest pain, it doesn't mean they're having a heart attack. They could be having so many other things. And I think that's where the faith comes into play, where you say to yourself that I'm going to make this decision based on the knowledge I've gained through all of my medical education, and the flow chart I'm going to follow, just like everybody else. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please help me that if I'm missing something, it comes to me, or it appears, or guide me towards that, right? And that happens in various ways. And if something goes wrong, then you must believe that that was going to happen anyways.
Great examples of the implementation of this value, and I'm sure you've learned a lot from Dr. Naveed Mohammad. And now, as usual, we want to know, how do we develop this skill? How do we develop this value? We want to know, how do we develop this art of change, or the ability to be able to deal with change? First, there are 3 things that we will be looking at. First one is the emotional side of change. In simple terms, there are 2 parts for the emotions. There's the negative emotion and the positive emotion. Let's start with the positive one. The positive emotion is basically the drive. You need to have this strong drive to change. When you see something that you don't like, you see something that's problematic, that's causing a problem, you want to change it, you have to have the strong sense that will push you to be able to create change in your workplace. Second thing that we want to deal with is the negative emotions. Definitely fear. Fear is the biggest problem for people when it comes to change. Why? Because it's uncertain, because we don't know what's going on, and no one would want to drive into uncertainty. This is why that negative feeling, that negative emotion of change will stop a lot of people from creating change and implementing change. Point number 2, adaptability, or your ability to deal with change. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. So if you want to bring change to your environment, you need to start with yourself. You need to understand it, you need to live it, you need to try it, you need to test it on yourself first before you present it to others. And point number 3, it's extremely important. It's the 3 steps of change. And this is where a lot of people go wrong. They rush into the last step before they take care of the first 2. The 3 steps of change are mentioned in hadith Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, where he told us, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه فإن لم يستطع فبقلبه وذلك أضعف الإيمان. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained to us the 3 steps of change. He said, alayhi salatu wasalam, if you see something that's wrong, if you see something that's problematic, if you see something that's causing a problem, change it. How? 3 steps. He said, start with your hand by taking action. If you can't, by your tongue. If you can't, reject it in your heart. If we look at this hadith, we'll take it in a reverse order. So the steps of changing starts with the heart. What does it mean? In the heart. In the heart, you have to envision the change. You have to love the change. You have to believe in what you're about to change. If your heart is filled with that emotion, you move to step 2. Step 2 is your tongue. What does that mean? Bil-lisan, you start talking about it to others. When you talk about that change to others, you fill their hearts with the belief and the vision and the love to implement change. Everybody will be on board with you. Not only that, talking about it also means planning it. So you're talking about it, you're brainstorming, you're discussing it, you're convincing others, and then you start planning for that change. And the last step will be taking the action, which is the implementation. After creating that team, all of you having the same level of passion, the same level of love, the same level of understanding of the vision, we've planned it, we've talked about it, and then we can implement it. If we follow these steps, we will inshallah be able to bring change, good change that will help us grow and become the next Muslim CEO.